And we're back. And right now we're going to talk about installing your ground posts. It's the very first step of actually doing the thing.
The foundation.
Easy. Came in hot on me there. We're getting a little delirious, and I like it. So here's my personal experience, and then we'll talk about yours, because you're much more analytical at these things. I find squaring the hoop house to be the most obnoxious part of building the hoop house. Great thing is you get it out of the way quick. The terrible thing is you get this beat down right at the beginning. So for people like me, you can talk about doing it one of two ways. You have this Pythagorean theorem that I'm gonna have you explain that, because it's not how my brain works, folks. And we all have to be aware of how our own brain works. So it's a way of doing it by triangle and math and a bunch of witchcraft, whatever. Does that entertain you that I don't know how to do that?
I know you know how to do it, but
no, I don't know how to do it. The way I always have to do it is the setting your four post and then measuring the diagonal and adjusting them out, which causes a ton of walking back and forth. It's taken me up to like 3 hours to square hoop house before. It's pretty rough.
That might explain why you want to be the only one there when you do it.
That's right. That's my next point. So my own personal advice to anybody, especially if you're going to have a team come through and help you out with this, is no matter how good or how bad you are at squaring this thing up, is do it on your own or have somebody do it for you, where that's not the very first thing that you're doing that morning. Why? You get everybody gathered up and everybody's excited and fresh coffee and you got the donuts and everybody's just super jittery and they're having to sit around and wait for some jerky like me to figure out, the four corners. I'm good at everything else except for that.
Or you have 3 cooks in a small kitchen.
Oh, dude.
Everybody wants to tell you how to do it. Yeah. Which way? No, that way's not right. You should be doing it this way. And again, this is something I think I'm with you on. Take the time beforehand. Get your corner post set up. Think through the process. Make it work for yourself.
Right. So the best thing I can tell you is you can look on YouTube how to square a greenhouse. You can also look at how to square a foundation or how to square a shed. I've looked at, tons of these. I think the very best ones are from these DIY channels that say how to square a shed. We've made a video on this, maybe ours is best for you, but if it wasn't, go find the person or the guy or the girl or the kid or the whatever that explained it in a which way that you understood it the best. Give yourself the time to go out there. Know that it's going to be a lot of walking back and forth. Don't do it in the heat of the day. Maybe come back to it if you need to. But the point is, get this thing squared before anybody else steps foot on that. Now, all that out of the way, do you have any tips about how to actually square this that you can do over audio?
You can use Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So your long side of your greenhouse is your a squared. Your b squared is going to be the end wall distance. And then the c squared, to triangulate it, make it square, is the hypotenuse. You'll take the c square, you'll take the square root of that. That'll give you the total distance on the two corner ground posts. And then once you have that and you know that, you can also calculate your 4th ground post here and then go back and verify distance all the way around and make sure that it's square. I know. It sounds pretty easy.
I know. And then the other way is what I said. You get one post, and this is where we're happy with this end wall being. We measure out the width. We're happy here. And then the other 2 are going to be what goes back and forth, wider or shorter. You'll probably get one set and then work this other one a little bit. And I will say, look, I personally feel this thing could be, 4 inches off all the way around, and you're going to be just more than fine.
I agree.
Some people, it's going to drive nuts that it's not center. Hey, that's their life. And if they got to do whatever they got to do, that's fine. Just know that if you keep going back and forth, and no matter which way it goes, you're off by a couple of inches, you just get after it. You're fine. The next one, just general installing a ground post. It's a hot topic for me, the ground post. This is the one I get the hottest stuff. And I think that the thing about it is there's a lot of shortcuts that you can do when you're building something. And by shortcuts, I mean efficiencies, not cutting corners or anything like that. But when it comes time to put in the ground post, hey, yeah, do you guys sling a sledgehammer or whatever? Yeah, it's going to be one of the more physical parts. So listen, by and large, if you have a 100-foot greenhouse, there's going to be 52 posts. Don't think that you have to do all 52 posts all at the same time, or even you yourself. If you have a partner, that's only 26. If you have 3 people, that's whatever that math is. I'm not quick at it. But
17 and a half for each one.
The last one, everybody's just taking a hit.
There you go.
So I see all kinds of people trying to do, well, can I push it in with a bucket tractor? I don't know. Maybe can you? Is it the best thing? Are you going to bend your pipe? I see people trying to like rent jackhammers or electric jackhammers and put them up. Hey, I've seen some videos of that working. I personally would never do that just because of I don't want things to get pinched. That's no good. So I mean, look, when it comes to pounding ground post, we have the ground post driver that we supply, so your pipe doesn't mushroom out. Just use that thing. Make this process take as long or short as you need it to be, but just know that sometimes a shortcut isn't the very best way to go. That's my own personal opinion. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have done it other ways that would think different. You did have an interesting point, though. I heard you on the phone today talking about why you would not use like a T-post ground post driver.
Yeah, they're usually considerably taller. If you're doing a 6-foot tall fence, that's not an issue. But when you only have 2 feet sticking out of the ground, eventually the bottom of that post driver is going to hit the ground, and you're just going to have airspace in the top. So you're not going to be able to drive that post the full 24 inches in the ground that's necessary.
The other thing I guess we should say on the install is, look, do a few hits, check for level and plumb. Do a few hits, check for plumb. Sorry, but if you like drive it halfway in and then you check, man, getting that thing out can be a pain, a real good pain, depending on your soil structure. So just know that driving that thing in, a few inches at a time. I'd say 4 or 5 inches. Check it, 4 to 5 inches. Don't do it all at once.
You use a string line on your corner posts. So from one end to the other, use a string line, run it over the top, and then that's going to be your level all the way across. As long as your string line's level, drive each post along that string line to the same height, and then all your hoops will be level.
Next up is drilling the ground post. The ground posts that you would get from us are pre-drilled, so you can then drill the hoop and then put the bolt in through that is going to secure the hoop to the ground post. So that being said, whether you get a ground post from us or not, at some point you're going to have to drill at least the hoop, and sometimes the hoop and the ground post itself. So number one thing that trips people up, and I've said this all kinds of different ways, and the best thing I can say is the holes have to line up where they're perpendicular with the length of the building. So if you're 40 foot long, 20 foot long, 100 foot long, theoretically you should be able to look down that hole and see a bunch of holes. And it's really not going to work in the field, but all the holes should be facing the long side of the house. And that's to keep the bolt away from the plastic as it's coming over the side to the greenhouse. Now you will have a little bit on the end wall, but that's much less of an issue.
So let's talk about the other hole you need to drill, and that's going to be a drain. So if you have one of our older manuals, you'll notice it shows a hole at the ground level, because not everyone has the exact same height where their ground posts are installed at the same level. We've chosen to leave that out, but you still need to go back and drill a hole at ground level to allow water to drain out of it. So if you get condensation on the inside of the greenhouse and it runs down into your ground posts, come wintertime, if it freezes, you have the chance of it actually, the ice expanding and either cracking or blowing out the bottom section of your ground pipe. So if you drill a hole in it, you allow that water to escape. That doesn't get absorbed by the ground, and you have less likelihood to have damage by frost in the winter.
The other thing besides frost is if you have roll-up sides and these things are open and it comes a rainstorm, you can get a little bit of blow-in from the sides of rain. And as that collects, I'm not worried about our pipes so much because not only is it triple galvanized, but it does have that flow coat on there all the way around, both on the inside and the outside. But having water sit on any kind of metal over a long period of time is slowly going to, build up and degrade that pipe. So having a place for that stuff to, drain out is going to be the best thing you can do. Other than that, the next thing we're going to talk about is your hoop house floors.